Hi everyone, Kathy Wheeler here. I am with WriteYourBookAcademy.com and so thrilled that you are going to watch this approximately 30-minute presentation on how to build your credibility with a book. I'm excited you're here, and if you have any questions at all, you can contact me at Kathy@WriteYourBookAcademy.com. That's Kathy with a K. Here we go with our first slide. Today we are going to talk about how to build your credibility with a book. We will cover what it takes to write a book, books and how they're associated with credibility, as well as industry examples. Today you will walk away with a writing tip that will blow you away. In fact, Jen's heard me give this one. The first time she loved it, and the second time she stopped me while I was saying it to a group to point out how much she has appreciated that one. The next thing is how to see what is in your market, so what other books are out there, and how to know if you have a book in you. You will walk away with all of this today. So you might be wondering who I am. Let me just briefly introduce myself. I'm an engineer with a heart for business and books. This makes it possible for me to create easy to follow directions for you as you go about writing your book. See, back when I was in 4th grade, I wanted to write a book so badly. We met an author in my class, and I just didn't think it was possible because people told me, society told me that only a select few get to have books. Well, that is just not the case, especially now in the world of self-publishing. So I went out and made it happen. I've published 6 books and have now designed a method for you to do it easily as well. Why should you take this mini course? Well, you should take this mini course if you want to write a book, if you have a message to share, if you want to grow your credibility, you want to create a legacy, because a book does all of that and it is entirely possible. You might be wondering, what does it take to write a book? It's exactly the same thing it takes to be an entrepreneur. So if you are an entrepreneur, you are in the right place. If you are an entrepreneur, you are in the right place. First, let's start with the universal model of success. It's called the be, do, have model. Now, this model was invented decades ago, and I've seen it credited to various original people. The furthest back I found was Zig Ziglar. I just want to make sure that you understand that this is a universal model that many coaches teach. And essentially, this goes about asking yourself, who must I be to do what I must do to create the outcome that I want to have? So those are the order that you go in. First, you look at who you need to be. Then you look at what you need to do. And then you have what you want. We will be following through these steps here and talking a little bit about who you need to be, what you need to do to have a book. So what it takes, the first way of being is self-integrity. Self-integrity is so important no matter what you are working on. This comes down to doing what you tell yourself and others that you will do. But most importantly with a book, it's what you tell yourself. Self-integrity sometimes comes down to having simple solutions like habit trackers that allow you to track and build up that muscle in your mind and continue with your self-integrity. The next way of being that it takes is courage. Now, courage is a broad word, but so many people need courage to be an entrepreneur, to go against societal norms, because it is really more of a given that people will go into a 9-to-5 job when they're in their adulthood. It takes courage to step out on your own and do what you dream of, do what your passion falls in. This all takes courage. And just so you know, it does take this bit a dose of courage to write a book. Some people go into it with the fear, but you have to remember that no matter what you do in life, there's always a first step, always a first thing of doing it. And you need to be taught the way. You just need the courage to start. Just like when you're a baby and babies learn to walk, they have to have that courage to try that first step. And guess what? They fall down and get up and keep going. That's because they have the self-integrity and perseverance to learn how to do something. And that's what you will find with a book. So it's the same skills you need there. And I just mentioned perseverance, and we are going to talk about that. So perseverance is definitely true in a book. You cannot write a good quality book in a day unless it's maybe a 1 or 2 page book. You will need time to write a book, but you will need to persevere and stay in self-integrity while you're doing this because you told yourself you would do this. And the perseverance comes along with things like setting up your time right, knowing that it's okay that it might take you 6 months to finish your book. Some of my clients finish in as little as 90 days. It all depends on the time you have to devote to it and your goals in your style of writing, your style of learning, as well as the length of the book. As long as you persevere, though, it will get done. Moving on to the doing. So what it takes for the doing. Well, you need to have an idea. So you do need to sit down and come up with an idea. But you don't have to have the whole idea in your head. Just have the spark that you want to do it. And your subject matter expertise and the research that you get going will trigger what you need to do and the message that you want to share. The next simple step for doing is time. Well, like I said, perseverance and time kind of go hand in hand. Time in part depends on how fast you want to get the book done. You can really get it done in as little as 30 minutes a day if you work for up to 6 months. And now this is going to include all of the editing and the post-processing and putting everything together. Really, if you think about it, what is January now? That puts a book in your hands in July. And I'm talking a full paperback book. Yes, a paperback book that can be in your hands. How does having a book in July sound to you? It sounds pretty good to me. Doing also involves action. So you can really start right now with this quick tip. So we're going to take a minute here for you to think about how you're going to do this and get this set up. And this is the thing that Jen loves. And it's what I call story banks. So story banks are something that is an ongoing file that you keep of little things you notice throughout your day that might be good little anecdotes to use in a book, because everybody loves to have stories in their books. But an example in a book, it can be used as a blog post starter. It can be used as a social media post, any content you need to create. And what I do is in my notes section of my phone, I have a story bank. And every time I notice something when I'm out and about, I record it there. Let me just give you an example. I was at the airport arrival section, which, by the way, is one of the best places to observe people and the joy that is taking place around you. And when I was there, I noticed a little boy just light up. His face was glowing. He just had energy bouncing off of him. And he ran over to what I'm assuming was his dad and hugged him, and they spun around. It was just amazing. So I recorded that so I could use it as a starting point. So that's something you could use as a starting point for a chapter, or again, like a blog post or social media. The other thing, this goes along too with courage. The other story that I recently wrote down was on a trip where we were doing some mountain climbing, and we had come to a spot where it was very large boulders. So it was really more scrambling in this particular spot. I was debating whether to go on or take a little breather there. And Dad was talking to, again, this kid was probably 3 or 4 year old boy. And the dad said, okay, do you want to think about it, or do you think you can go on? And he said something to the effect of, Dad, I need to go now. If I think about it, it will do nothing except make me more afraid. And that is so true in life if you think about it. Sometimes it's easiest to just get going, to take that courage and get it going. Right now, think about where you will keep your story bank. Is it going to be in your phone? Is it going to be in a small notebook that you carry around with you? Either of these will work, but I want you to take just a minute now and think how you can implement this. And this goes right along with the fact that over 80% of people say that they want to write a book, yet few do. And to recap, it all goes into they don't know who to be to do what they need to do to have what they want to have, which is a book. So you take these elements and whatever else you think will help you, and you will end up with a book. Let's move on now to books and credibility. What do you think of someone when you learn that they have a book? Go ahead, take a second. What thoughts come to your mind? Maybe that they're a subject matter expert, that they hold authority, that they have credibility, that they are a leader, that they are successful, and that they're a go-getter. What else? I'm sure you have others that come to your mind, but all of these are true. This is what we think about people who have books. We, as a world, value books. We value knowledge. We value the messages that people have to share. And having your own book is a way to help establish this, as well as sharing that message that you have to serve the world. When you think of credibility, a lot of people do write a book because of credibility, not necessarily because of the money that they're going to make from the book, but because of the credibility it builds. Think of the people you know who have a book. What came to mind when you thought about them writing a book? It instantly elevated them in your mind, I'm sure. Think of all the industry leaders out there who have books. John Maxwell, Jack Canfield, I don't know why I said Jen. Rachel Hollis, Jen Sincero, maybe that's why I said Jen earlier, and Gabrielle Bernstein. Those are just a few of the names out there of people who have books, who are entrepreneurial industry leaders. So when it comes to credibility and speaking, having a book is huge. In fact, one of my clients, Jean Eiser, who wrote Cooling for Lymphedema, Advances in Treating Lymphedema. It was based off of a really thorough academic study that she did with some professors. And it was amazing because her techniques could be used in third world countries with very little cost and equipment. Really life-changing message for so many people. After she published this book, she was invited to speak at an international convention. She got her message out there, and like I said, it's just unbelievable the people that she was able to help with her book. There's also other ways for credibility. Another one of my clients, Samantha, uses her book as a backdrop in videos and podcasts. You can use it as an introduction to new clients. I have a client who sends her books out before she meets with someone, if she books an appointment with them, just to introduce herself to them. Similarly, people use it as a business card. So if they're at a networking event, back when we could do those, and when we will be able to do them again, people might bring a certain number with them and pass them out to the people that they really want to connect with, or who their book will benefit. And it can also be used as part of your training with clients. So I have people who use the class and their books to create workbooks or to create companions to their coaching. There are so many different options out there. It can be a full-blown tutorial because guess what? Just like all of the free content you create on social media and your blogs, people like to get to know you and your styles before they work with you. This is why there are so many of the gurus out there with their own books. We are going to take a quick look at Amazon now to see who in your industry has a book. So what you are going to do is go to Amazon.com. And here's another little life tip. If you don't know, through smile.amazon.com, they'll donate a portion of your proceeds to the charity of your choice, a charity that is registered with them. So that's why you see it. Maybe it look a little different. So what you do is you go into books and then you type keywords from your area. So I will type life coaching. And here are people training others. This one is people training others to be a life coach. So I will let you know the ones up top that say sponsored are ones where people paid to be placed there. These ones down here don't have sponsored, so they're not sponsored. You can kind of tell how popular a book is by its number of reviews. But you can see how other people are making money helping other coaches get started. Here are just several options. So let's go look at, say you want to be like Rachel Hollis. Let's go look at her books. And what we can do is click on her book. Whoops, I clicked that by mistake. We will click on her book. And then if we scroll down, it will tell us what categories it's in. Right down here. So she's in women in business, business motivation and self-improvement, and motivational management and leadership. So let's look and see who else is in business motivation and self-improvement. We have Ryan Holiday with meditations. Master Your Emotions. This particular author has been doing quite well, self-published author. The 48 Laws of Power. Think and Grow Rich, a classic. You can see some other entrepreneurs that you've heard of, like Tim Ferriss, Brene Brown, and so on and so forth. So just type up here. If you know an author that you want to follow, I suggest typing in their name and seeing what categories they're in to see who else is out there. Or if you don't know that, just type in some of your keywords. I'm going to put animal love because I know somebody right now who is working on something with animals. So here would be the options for them of some of the ones that they're looking for. Obviously, some of these are kids' books, but it will give you an idea of what is out there in the market for your competition. Now, let me tell you, there is room for more books because you might have your certain message that you want to share, and it might be similar to someone else's, but you're going to explain it in a different way that's going to reach out and grab someone else. And so I will give you a story of how that actually greatly has impacted me in my life. When I was in college in my first electrical engineering class, I just did not get it. And I have the good fortune of generally being just an A student. I just get things. Electrical engineering, I just did not get. That was not one of the things that came easily to me until I was talking to a fellow student and I said, I just do not get that. And he said, well, it's easy. It's just, and then he said this very eloquent sentence that made the whole entire world of electrical engineering make sense to me. This is after probably a month of sitting through the lectures. That one sentence changed my world. That's what I'm saying you can do with your message. Your message will be the right message that one person needs to hear, and sharing it in a book will make that difference for that one person, and really more than one person. We're going to switch gears a little bit here, and I'm talking about writing a book to build up credibility. So there are some things that you definitely do not want to do when you write this book, and I just think they're good little snippets to put in here to help you out. First of all, you do not want to be too salesy. You want to eventually invite them into your website or to work with them, but do not constantly be putting it in there. Use it as something that is going to give them extraordinary value. The second thing is, you do not and absolutely should not put everything you know and want to share in one book. The reason is this is too overwhelming for people. It's too overwhelming for you as an author. It's too much for people to digest. Now look at all those gurus out there who I gave as examples. They have more than one book. John Maxwell, I believe, is in his 20s. Like, he has a lot of books. Speaking of another guru, Joyce Meyer, I can't remember how many. I've heard her say she has like 60 or 70 books, some huge, huge number. Can you imagine if they would have put that all in one book? First of all, it would never have been done because they've written those books over years and years. We evolve, our message evolves, what we gain and know evolves. So you want to pick a little snippet of what you know and work on that. Short books are more and more popular. We are used to consuming content in small bits and pieces. This is how we like to digest it. Paperbacks can really be as short as 30 pages. It depends on what your goal. Normally, I recommend longer than that. But quite honestly, right now, I'm getting ready to publish a book on joy that it's 30 days to easy joy. So it's going to be 35 pages once I add the other content. So I am doing a short book. And it's because it's a small subject matter, because it's 30 days to easy joy. I want to make it simple for people to digest so that they get the value out of it. And that is how I designed it. So that one is short. The other thing is, you do not think that you have to be traditionally published. Self-publishing is growing and expanding. It's unbelievable how different it is even from 5 years ago. Now, I do tell people if you want to traditionally publish, then go for it. Give it a set amount of time to try it, and then move on to self-publishing. It's very, very easy and mainstream. There's lots of options out there, easy ways to do it. People become afraid that they're going to have to print out a big stack of books or pay a lot of money to get started. And you don't. Now, almost all paperbacks, almost all, are done via print on demand. And so what this means is when you place your order on Amazon, they print the book and then send it to you. They don't always have stock of the book. They're just printing it as the orders come in. It's amazing technology. There's no cost for you to make it available on Amazon at all, and many other sites. Really, none of the big distributors charge to have their book on there. They will print and deliver it to you. They make a portion of the money off the book as well as you. So you do royalty splits is how that works. So again, no money up front for putting it on Amazon or the other big sites. Next, I want you to look at, do you have a book in you? So think about this. Are you willing to be the person you need to be to do the things you need to do to write a book? Do you have a passion for your subject matter? Do you want to build credibility? Do you want to share your message? If so, then yes, you have a book in you. I work from a technique of 12 steps using what I call the shine pillars, because I think when you're writing a book, you're really shining your light to the world and sharing your message. S is starting with a strong foundation. This is knowing your why for your book, research what's in the market, decide on traditional or self-publishing. Then you move on to the next phase, which is the H. Honor the outline and writing methods. You have to use the ones that are the right fit for you. You want to choose the style of the book you want, use the outline method that matches the type of thinker you are and the style of book you want to write. Then you move on to I, implementing the plan. So you need to know your plan and you want to learn to write with flow. There's lots of tricks to do this. N is nourish your book with the right edits and design. So you can create a design parameters for your cover and hire a designer to do it for you. Very important, professional designer and professional editor. You need to both self-edit and hire an editor to edit your book. Then you will go on to formatting. And E is execute the publishing, determine your distribution methods, and upload your formatted book to Amazon and possibly other sellers and release. Those are my 12 basic steps. I am giving you guys a very special offer that I've never offered at this price before. I am going to offer your nonfiction book, Nail the Start, for only $7. It's normally $27, which is still a steal. It covers the S portion of the SHINE method. It covers the knowing your why, research what is in the market, and decide on traditional or self-publishing. It's done through online video, and there are worksheets that go along with it. It's 5 modules that cover these things. Here is the link, http://bit.ly/genbook. So if you're interested, go to that URL and you will simply be taken directly to place your order. We're going to wrap up with a bit of self-reflection. I want you to think about this. Who do you need to be to have a book? I also want you to think about what would sharing your message and building credibility with a book do for you? What would sharing your message and building the credibility through a book do for you? Think about that. Thanks again for joining me as part of Jen's Film Festival. I will say goodbye to you now and just leave the slide with the bit.ly link up for you one more time. Have a great rest of your day.